Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians.
Good afternoon.
Ah, there we go. Hey, thank you very much. My name is John Ramsperger. I'm standing in for our President Morris, who is out of town, so he couldn't be here.
He's probably on about the 8th hole now.
That's right. He's actually playing in a golf tournament today, and it's a beautiful day for that. So thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us today. I'm going to call on Patrick Kelly for our invocation. Patrick.
Please join me in the Rotary prayer. Open our eyes that we may see. Open our ears that we may hear. Touch our hearts that we may love. Clear our minds that we may think. Strengthen our hands that we may work. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Patrick. All right, so let's see. We have visitors today, and I'm going to call on Mr. Van Silliman.
Well, thank you,
To
John.
do the Sergeant at Arms, please.
Okay. Let's get my glasses on here. All right. Well, we have a very, very special guest today from the club. That's Miss Carolyn Johnson. Let's give her a big round of applause.
This is with a K.
This is
That's
With a
right,
K.
with a K.
this is Carolyn's second time, so I
That's
think
right.
we need to be getting that
Application to her.
Yes, yes, sir. Not pushing you.
Yeah, no pressure.
David, you got the papers on it? Larry, working. Okay. I don't see any other visitors today, so I'm going to move right on to announcements. Yvonne Bullard, you have an announcement.
Yes, thank you. How many of you have ever heard of the Tar Heel Traveler?
Oh.
Great. On December the 5th, the Tar Heel Traveler is going to be the guest of the Farm City Ladies Luncheon down at the Extension Center. For $10, you can have a ticket, you can have lunch and a cookbook. You can also have the privilege of submitting recipes for that cookbook. Anyhow, I'd like to invite all of you to have your wives, tell your wives about it. It starts at 12 o'clock noon to 1 o'clock, but the feeding starts at 11:45. So anyhow, if you will tell your wives, girls, if you are interested, I'd love to have you come. And anyhow, Jonesboro Rotary, we had a table to decorate last year, and I would like to go ahead and have a table again this year. And I don't think the Sanford Rotary is going to get involved, so that'll just be us, if it's okay with you guys. I'd get the girls to come and help decorate, okay?
So
Anyhow, thank you.
I'll second that motion. All righty. Okay, moving right along. Kate Rumley, you have an announcement today.
I have really two. Tonight at the temple is a very ill advertised. It was in the paper, but the Glad Flies are going to be there, and it is a benefit for Outreach Mission, who has been for years taking care of homeless people. The other thing I want to talk to you about, I just clipped off Karen Kennedy's email, and you know the cow patty tickets that I twisted people's arms about a couple weeks ago. I'll twist anybody else's arm that wants one today, but we have yet, that was going to be done at the fair. That got canceled. Then we were going to do it someplace else at some other event, and we had the second hurricane, and that got canceled. So now we are going to do that.
Don't do it, don't do it. Don't do it, we can't take another hurricane.
Yeah, you got that right. Next Thursday, in the evening, at 7 p.m. at Hugger Muggers Brewery. Now, you all know Hugger Muggers because we went there for
a social.
Social.
Yep.
So why don't we social at Hugger Muggers next Thursday and watch the cow patties drop, I don't, they'll probably bring a cow in there,
It's big enough. Sure.
If you bought tickets prior, they'll be honored.
Those are the tickets,
Okay,
yeah.
because I got a winner in there.
Yeah.
I know what spot it is or
I
whatever.
do. I got one. So that's all I wanted to say, thank you.
Thanks, Kate, appreciate it. And of course, we've got, Yvonne, we've got the Temple Theater. This is the last weekend.
This is the last weekend.
Ghosts.
Come Monday, I am taking actors to the airport to say goodnight.
So we got.
New ones coming in.
Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday matinee, correct? If you haven't been there, I'm gonna try to go Friday night, that's my night.
If you haven't seen it, it's great.
It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's what I heard, and they're like, how, you know,
It
how
is.
do you make
It's
something
excellent.
funny out of a musical or
Ghost.
whatever?
Ghost
Well,
musical.
you gotta go, thank you, I'm gonna go. Okay, any, Rhett? Yes, sir,
One more announcement.
yes, sir.
Larry asked me to circulate a card for Jennifer Hogan. If you haven't signed it, it's here at the end of the table, please do.
Dan, I've got an announcement as well. Two of them, actually.
No, Yvonne's got a follow-up.
Oh, Yvonne, go ahead.
I've got a follow-up on the card. Jennifer Hogan's getting ready to go in to have brain surgery. She fell a couple of months ago, and the doctors wanted to do a follow-up to all the testing and everything, and they found out that she's got a 2-inch cyst on her brain. So they're gonna go in and take a look at that cyst and then be able to tell her what's going on.
Yep.
So,
We need to
thank
keep
you
her
for
in
the
our
card.
prayers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Yvonne. Two announcements. At the end of today's meeting, our own fellow Rotarian CEO of the hospital, Spencer Thomas, wanted us to do a little snippet on the video that Terry is providing for someone, John Pascal, who's been at the hospital for 40 years in X-ray. And if you could wish him well at the close of the meeting after we go ahead and do the four-way tests and pledge allegiance and all that. Yeah, Terry?
Yeah, he's retired.
He's retired.
Yeah, he's retired.
That's right. Second announcement, Carolyn Johnson's here with us, and as Van noted, this is her second meeting with us. Her first time that she was here, Terry McMillan had invited her, and Carolyn and I run into each other at chamber events, and we talk as well. She wanted to get on the calendar for the month of November to do a presentation for her nonprofit, which is I Am My Sister's Keeper. And so she's here really as a guest of the club, and she's considering joining. We hope that you will. But she also very graciously said, could I pass out a flyer for our fundraiser in December? I said, absolutely. So Carolyn, give us your little 1 minute and pass out the flyer. I can pass out the flyers if you want me to.
It's actually our newsletter.
Oh, it's your newsletter, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You guys know on that side, I'll get this.
Hi, I'm Carolyn. I am the founder and executive director of I Am My Sister's Keeper. I Am My Sister's Keeper is a nonprofit 501c3 organization where we are trying to break the back of poverty, lack, and stagnation among the women and children in the county who fall below the poverty line. We try to do this by having life coach workshops and all that good stuff to push them into their next level of destiny. And so we've been in existence for 2.5 years, and we are having our first annual Christmas Gala on December 8th, where we need sponsors, we need each and every one of you to purchase a ticket to this Christmas Gala. It's December 8th from 7 to 10 at the Elks Lodge on
Wicker Street.
Carthage and Wicker Street. So I do have tickets if you want to purchase your tickets today. The chamber is involved, and that's about it. So when I get on the program, I'll give you more information about I Am My Sister's Keeper and how you can take part in helping sponsor the women to get to their next level.
Wonderful, thank you, Carolyn. All right.
Larry, or you got something? You have an announcement?
I've got a program.
Okay, wait a minute. Hang on.
Come on with Bragging Bucks then.
Richard.
I think just follow up on Halloween, the Halloween event, Most Care Fair, was held last Saturday. We've supported them in the past. Jim and I had a couple emails going back and forth because we didn't get the contribution in. And so, but I do hope we'll continue to support them and even get them something for this year. Carol and I turned it over to Haven 2 years ago, and they've done a fantastic job, and they have really built it up. They moved it to the Civic Center this year. I went out there, our church donates meals for one of the volunteer sessions, and so I went out there, and of course they just wanted to show us all over the place, let us see what it was all about. And it's fantastic, but of course with a lot of nostalgia. I remember painting all the doors and decorating all the stuff and blowing up all the balloons, and so I don't get to do that anymore, thank heavens. But it was a great event, and it's the big fundraiser for Haven every year, so please continue to support them.
Well,
Thank you.
Richard, just because we didn't get in time for a door.
Just because we didn't get it in time
Yeah,
to,
but we can still donate.
you can definitely make the contribution to, and Jim and I were just going back and forth at the last minute. And what they've done is, you don't get a door anymore, you get a sponsorship on the wall. They run it on a screen, which I don't like as well. I like the idea that you have you got to see each door.
Now we're
But
starting to show our age.
they're coming down, they're not getting as much free candy. So since the Davenports have gotten into the business, or they may be getting as much, but because they got more kids,
Yeah,
they're having to cut back some, and on the number of doors, and they also are having to buy some of their own candy. So I always told them they were way too generous the way it was, so now we just have to. But it's still a great event, and I mean the people that were dancing and singing and all of that, they just looked like they were in seventh heaven. And the costumes, I think, continue to get better. I saw fewer of the violence type things, which we've always played down.
Right.
But some really creative costumes that we're going through that. So it's still a fun event.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard. How about any brags? Anybody got anything they're want to share with the club today? No?
I have a brag.
Debbie.
Thank God. All these people ain't got nothing to brag about.
This weekend, Saturday, my daughter and some grandkids and I went to an international festival in Raleigh. It was at the convention center there. And my brag is that one of the Raleigh clubs, Rotary clubs, was there. Because they had countries, food, like 30 different countries, and they had them set up like little buildings, like if you're Mexico or Venezuela. And they had all this different food, and then they had all tables talking about the countries, and the kids got passports, and they went to all the countries and learned about it. My grandson, they tell him something about the country and everything. But my brag again is, and I went up to the table and thanked the Raleigh Rotary Club for having the presence of Rotary and talking to people about how we're international and the things that we do. And so I was just really proud to be a Rotarian at that moment.
I think we ought to give you your dollar back.
We weren't able to set up the video for today to show you Rick's video of Rotarians in action and why he's a Rotarian. I'm not going to spoil it for those who haven't seen it. Well, you can go to, Sherry, you've sent it out to everybody, haven't you?
No.
Not
We're
yet?
gonna put it on YouTube after he speaks.
Okay,
After he
okay.
speaks.
We'll show it to you next week, we hope. But if there is any message, I mean, we've probably done 22 different messages about why you're a Rotarian and how much you get out of that. That's that.
Get to the program!
Rick's is absolutely outstanding. So that'll be up for you to see next week. And Rick, thanks for bringing that message.
Always proud of Rotary.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I saw it as well.
Neil, what you got?
I'm not sure if it's a brag or if it's something that I'm not so happy about, but I get a year older next Monday.
Terry's getting his wallet out.
The glasses do come out once in a while.
Going up front.
Okay.
And your glasses do come out once in a while.
Yes, they do.
Hey, speaking of birthdays, almost forgot about birthdays, but tomorrow is my birthday. And my twin brother. And I also get a chance to take a physical on my birthday.
Oh, wow.
Sorry about that.
So, hey, I have.
You're not gonna video that, are you?
I am a gorgeous doctor, so I am happy to go get my physical.
It'll be on YouTube.
Hey,
Happy
Karen,
birthday, buddy.
Karen, you got another $1? I don't have any money.
Yes.
I got $1 for you, Kate.
I need to make a brag.
Okay.
I hear you guys, you're not telling. Mr. Jensen, you didn't tell us how old you were. And I'm going to tell you, I had a birthday last Saturday, and I am now 70 years old. Yahoo!
7-0.
I will be 1 year older than you Monday.
Happy birthday. Okay, any other announcements? Patrick? Now we're rolling.
This is definitely a birthday. This is for Lee County students. Our average SAT score went up 19 points from last year. Hopefully our newspaper will do a subject on that. We've asked them to, but that's asking a lot, I think.
Patrick, thank you so much. Any other announcements? Bragg,
I
anything?
want to thank the paper for putting Jim in last week.
We
David
did.
for getting that article.
We did, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, let's brag on Jim.
Okay.
Program.
Cough up $1, Jim.
All right, thank you, Van.
You're welcome, sir.
So we've got our own Larry Aiken today. We're going to talk about membership, recruiting, and retention. And so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Larry Aiken.
Have you missed me?
I think that was a golf clap.
Yeah, Patrick, you got it, the clock started?
Wow. Oh, I'm watching, don't you worry.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
We've got good news and maybe not so good news on our membership. What do you think our loss rate percentage is over the last couple of years? 5%, 10%, 15%?
Net loss,
Yeah. Our turnover?
25.
5%?
Yeah, well, you would hope, but it's 20.
20?
Yeah. And there's a lot of good reasons for people moving, and there's a bunch when you go through the ones that we've lost. And normally it's not because they don't want to stay with Rotary, but there is something that causes them not to be able to stay with our club, but then they go on to other clubs if they move. So anyway, that's high. That's really high. Because usually what you do is you try to target maybe about 10% growth to compensate, and you stay at the same number. And 10% doesn't do it for us. At least that's what our history says. But you know, the good news here is since April, we've added 9. We brought back Kate, and thanks, Kate, for coming back in. The Temple joined with Jennifer, and you've all heard the Jennifer situation right now. So one way or another, we've got to keep Jennifer close to us and close to our hearts. So we'll talk about it at the board meeting in November, but Jennifer's not going to be able to continue on with the Temple, as you know, so we'll have to make arrangements there. Jamie Bowen. Jamie's been working up in Siler City, and he is making up in Siler City, but he'll be coming back to us probably around the first of the year. We got Mike Stack, we got Rick, that we were just talking about. Debbie came in with us, Marcella came in with us, and Carolyn Trace. That's really, really good. It's got us to the point where we had 39 on our active roll as of April. And the measurement for Rotary International and for our district is from the 1st of April to the end of March next year. And they used to try to do it June to July, and there's so many reports that have to come in, and membership is so important. Those numbers are really, really necessary to get it right. So that's why they go from April to March. So we've only got a few more months. We only got until the end of March to make sure that our club is viable, sustainable, and able to continue on. One of the things that we need to do is work on our retention plan, and that's going to involve our orientation, and we hope to have the first orientation in November, the 15th of November, for those 9 folks that we just talked about. Well, 8, because Jennifer probably won't be able to join us. And then, in all likelihood, we're going to have a makeup for that. Everybody that has responded said, please make it convenient, so we're going to try to do it before a regular meeting and have an hour of orienting on Rotary in general, but that's important to retention. The other thing that the district has recognized is you've got to share good ideas that are going on throughout Rotary with the whole district, with all the clubs. So every year they have this membership summit, and we sent 5 representatives to that summit in early October. And I'd like to have, starting with, it's David, Debbie, Yvonne, Morris, who was going to send me some notes, but I didn't get them, and Jeremy went up. And I'd like to have each one stand up and say a couple of things about what they got out of that all-day summit. And it happened to be at the same time a hurricane was coming through, so some of the message at the end of the afternoon may not have been able to get talked about because you got out early. But David, how about you?
All right. Well, first of all, we were dismissed probably an hour early because of the storm. Trees were falling. It was terrible in Greensboro, and they actually lost power at the facility we were at. So we were dismissed. We were all kind of glad to get out of there. But to start off with, that, like you're saying, we were 20%. Of course, this was, I think the report that they shared was 16, 17 year, I believe. And of course, we're going to knock that out of the water this year. But there were three tiers of Rotary memberships. Very good, kind of average, and then to be concerned about. We were in the lower level club to be membership level with that 20% annual turnover. So I'm real happy that we're turning things around this year. Just a couple of things, that I took out of it. You can't be happy to be, you got to be increasing. You can't be happy just to maintain, because we're gonna lose members every year. People move, change jobs, things like that. So we've got to keep, be innovative and come up with new ways to try to entice new members. And orientation was very important. The last couple of years, we've probably kind of slipped on having orientations. And a little side note to that, tomorrow I'm going to RLI, Rotary Leadership Institute in Pittsburgh, and it'll be my first one. But I want to experience it and see what it's about, because I think our newer members, I think the club should begin paying, it's $95 to attend one of these. I think the club should start sending our newer members, and from what I've heard, when you attend one, it really opens up your eyes as to what Rotary is all about, what it does in the world. So I think that's one thing we can do to help retain members. That's just a couple of things I took from it. One other thing I will mention and I was kind of surprised, they said the noon lunch meetings are declining, or that is, according to studies and statistics that they have, that is not a real good time. But you know, what can we do about it? Well, one thing we're doing about it, we're having one meeting a month. We're doing having a social or a service project or something. Because a lot of the employment climate this day and time, it's hard for a lot of people to take off at lunch and go to a meeting. So you got to be flexible. But we also have to work with a restaurant, you know, so we can't come here at 8 o'clock in the morning for breakfast because Steve's not open to breakfast. But we just got to keep being innovative and try to come up with new ideas. So. Pass on, you want to go next?
That was my second membership summit. The year that I was president, in 2005, 2006, I also attended one, and I got a lot out of it. And so I went ahead and finished out my year. Anyhow, what I wanted to do was, I enjoyed going there. We had a good deal, a good number, based upon the storm. We weren't sure if we were going to make it, but then we got ahead of the storm. We were there when the storm passed, and then we came home after the storm had already passed in that area. So we did pretty good, but we had enough windows in the country club so we could see. Of course, we had to kind of feel our way out because we had to go down halls and things. But it was otherwise it was an enjoyable time that we spent there. They did have the speakers. There were two. The speakers were absolutely, I thought, very good. They were motivating speakers. They motivated you to sit and listen, and they had everyone's attention the entire time, that we were able to understand. And of course, they were always open for us to say, hey, wait a minute, what about this? And so they were very good about taking us in and explaining those things to us. But we didn't have too many of those questions, did we, David? One thing that caught my attention was when they started talking about complacency. Now, complacency is that idea about same old, same old. And I think in every club, sooner or later, you tend to have something of complacency. I know here we have about certain things, maybe the food, whatever. You're just like same old chicken, that kind of thing. And so, but we need to look at excuses. And so therefore, whenever someone's leaving or someone's not coming in on a regular basis, it's good to check with people and find out what's keeping them from coming. Sometimes we might need they might just need a word of encouragement. When we get together, we need to get together at least 2 or 3 in groups so that we can talk more about Rotary, whether it's at the meeting or after the meeting, maybe during some other time. But the thing there they mentioned was take a look at what your vision is. And when you talk about your vision and you write into your vision about, how you meet, what kind of attitudes you have, what do you want, the highs and the lows, so that you can come across and have the best vision for your club. The main thing there was to create trust, have a common goal, be like-minded, take accountability for what's going on in your club. Sometimes you need to be accountable so that you tend to want to come to your meetings. You want to kind of have one up on maybe someone that you sit next to so that you can make your club stronger. And people want to come. People want to come and be with you to enjoy the same things that you're enjoying at your club. Empower your people. And something that we do at our church is we have something called shoulder tapping. And when you do shoulder tapping, all that means is pay attention to the ones that you're sitting next to, the ones that you are involved with in your club. And when you see someone that has done something that you think is the spark to be the next president or to be the next sergeant at arms or the next whatever, then tap them on the shoulder and just say, hey, I'd like to talk more with you. I'd like to share some things with you and see what develops.
Being assistant governor 2 times working with other clubs, I've had the opportunity over years to work with clubs that are failing. I had the opportunity to charter 2 new clubs, and you know, that's obviously a whole different feel because of the excitement and everything when you're doing a new club and then trying to work with them to continue to grow. One of the things I like about the RI President Barry Rassin, him talking about, we are a membership organization. It's one of the things Claudia talked about, our district governor, and we need to remember that. We do service, and we do service amazingly well, but we're a membership organization, because if we don't continue to grow, then for me personally, my personal opinion is we are such an amazing organization. It would just be so sad if we couldn't do all of the things that we do in this world, and if our numbers started to decrease. And you know, like what Jim works on, those shelter boxes, I think are just amazing, and they're there. And I love when I see sometimes on the news, and Jim, you're probably way more, even more than me, every now and then you'll see those green boxes. And I'm like, yes, oh my gosh, like I've given to the shelter boxes, and that's mine. And so we need to remember our membership, that we are a member organization, and we need to continue to grow. We need to tell people in the community what an amazing organization we are. And don't you want to be part of this? Don't you want to be so excited and be part of this and what we're doing and what we do in our community? So we need to remember that. And what we need to remember is when we talk to the whole club, sometimes, you know, we all have our day and we don't always catch, you know, what's coming down. And so kind of like what Yvonne said of working with your fellow Rotarians and stuff, of, you know, why aren't they here? Because we do need to mentor to each other and help retention. And if somebody's not excited about Rotary anymore, why aren't they excited? And let's help them out. Let's get them back into that. One of the things that, it's hard when you're new in a club and you're seeing things that are going on, and sometimes, like us trying to do our socials and then membership. Because I was an assistant governor, that usually doesn't work. And then what they said in this membership summit was exactly that, and that was kind of one of the big, bold things. Don't do membership recruitment with your own socials, because they're not really learning about Rotary. They're meeting us as Rotarians, and we are an amazing, wonderful club, and we have great people in here. But that's one of the things, you know, as a club, and we need to do, and I like seeing that, and then I like seeing that we need to have the focus. I forget sometimes that we need to let people know what Rotary is, what we do. Because when we do a social, we're not talking about Rotary. We're talking about each other. And so they don't get that fire. They don't get that passion that a lot of us have. So I thought that was really amazing. Great speakers, like Yvonne said. And there is the slide set. I think it's tinyurl/76 membership that's on there that gave us, and all of the slide sets that they went over and stuff. And John, I could get that to you if anybody wants to read through it. They did do an amazing job. It's kind of why they couldn't cancel, because these 2 gentlemen are from somewhere else. They're not even in our district. And then they talked. And one of the things that was a reminder for me, sometimes we always need to remember, it's at the club level. Sometimes people get a little frustrated and think like things are coming down on us from the district or whatever. But it is what our club wants to do, and we need to remember that, and what makes us happy as a club and what makes us thrive and give us that passion. So we need to remember that. I think that's, you know, ditto with what David, and if anybody wants to come to the RLI, can they still come tomorrow?
Yeah, they take walk-in.
That's what because up at Durham, they had a walk-in. That does give you a completely different perspective I'm a graduate of RLI from Florida, and then I went to Durham. They tried to keep the curriculum the same, and it was basically the same, but it's a deeper level with your fellow Rotarians, because it is not they don't lecture to you. It is all interactive, almost all of the sessions. So you get to interact with your fellow Rotarians, and you get a much deeper level of Rotary. So I agree with you, David. It's a great thing for our new people.
The last speaker that attended is Jeremy, and before Jeremy speaks, I wanted to say how grateful I am to Jeremy, because I asked him to be part of our membership efforts and get involved in the club, and he's certainly been doing that, as you could see through what he's done for a lot of things, the tickets, the Sergeant-at-Arms activities, and some of the things with membership. But let's face it, I mean, as a board and a number of us who are graying out of Rotary, we need to find young, aggressive, involved people that are ready to take over. Basically, we need to recruit leadership from among us. Now, we weren't able to do this for a number of years, but since about 3 years ago, here's what we've done. We've added Jeremy, we've added Bill, we've added Nash, we've added Jamie, we've added Chad again, we've had Mike come in, we've had Jennifer come in, we've got Oscar in, we've got Patrick in, we've got Marcella in, we've got Will in. All those, every one of those is a potential leader. And we've got a pool of young people now who are ready to make the next step. And so I want to ask Jeremy about what he got out of that meeting, and at the same time thank him for recognizing that the survival and the sustainability of this club really sits with those 10 or so people that I just talked about. Jeremy.
Thank you, Larry. Well, let me just say, first of all, that was my first membership summit, and I thought it was excellent. I really, to be honest with you, wasn't anticipating too much, but the speakers were phenomenal, and they kept your attention, and they really offered some, I thought, really good ideas for membership retention. But a few points that I jotted down during the seminar was that our membership goal is to grow by either 10% or 10 new members. So we are sitting at roughly 50 members now, so we're looking at adding 5 new members this coming year. They typically, their statistics show that you usually lose 2 members, so we would be looking at trying to add 7 members during this coming year. As Debbie and Yvonne mentioned, the #1 enemy to Rotary is not Kiwanis, is not Lions Club, it's complacency. So we have to get out and get these new members in and not be complacent with what we have. If we outgrow this room, great, we'll go find somewhere else, but complacency is the #1 enemy of Rotary. Also, Debbie mentioned that we are a membership organization. We are not a service organization. Service is what we do. If we get the right members in that are good leaders, family-oriented, community service-oriented, the service projects will naturally follow. But we are a membership organization, first and foremost. We have to change. We have to stay relevant. New members are looking for something different than the past. Okay, so we have to look at ways to change the club. I think we've started doing that with changing some of the meeting times and locations. I think that's good. So that's another thing, is we've got to stay relevant. And we need to attract people. We don't need to recruit people. They use that word attract. instead of recruit. So I guess for an example, if you're talking with someone that you feel is a good fit for this club, you mention Rotary and what we do, and kind of show them as being a leader, that Rotary, how Rotary can help them and help the community. And but that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to attract new people and not beg them to come into our club. We want them to really want to be a part of this. Now, Larry's asked me to look at recruiting young people. He considers me young. Larry, what do you mean by young? But he considers young
comparison
25 to 50. And I said, well, I'll fit in that category, but just barely. I don't have a few more years and I'll be out of that young category. But 25 to 50 is a pretty liberal, I think, age group for being young. But that's
all where you sit.
But as I told Larry, it's going to be challenging. Most folks in this age group, tend to be very busy. First and foremost with their careers. I know I've been asked to join Rotary for 10 or 15 years and just haven't done it because of my career. Typically, you're involved with other organizations on your professional side to help you move up the ladder and help you make new contacts, and don't have time for things like Rotary. So that's one obstacle that we face. Most people have young families. As you know, when you have young kids, you're involved with sports. A lot of parents coach now, going to games, so that takes up time. And they, this age group, again, they want something fresh. They want something new. Let's face it, Rotary to some people is considered an older organization. So we need to look at ways of, freshen things up and staying relevant. So that's going to be the challenges, but I'm going to be, working on a list of potential new members. I'll be working with folks like Bill, Jamie Bowen, others in the age group, but I need the help from everyone. Everyone knows somebody in this age group that they feel would be a good member here, and so, we need everybody involved in the attraction of new members to our club. So.
Yeah,
that's all I have.
And that's really true. And the leadership of the club now, over the next several years, needs to move to this group. It needs to have people coming in who may not have 20 years with Rotary, but have a driving interest in trying to improve their community and through Rotary. And we're just this close. It's almost like the polio. We've got the people, we've got the resources in this club. I'm really proud of the way the club is beginning to make this transition. But us older ones need to be the mentors. We need to be stepping away and helping the younger folks run this club and help with the community. Yes, Patrick? Is it 1 o'clock?
No, it's not. I
really want you to take us past 1 because you're one of the guys.
And this is the only reason I'll ever take us past 1. As someone that's been a member of 10 different organizations, from Lions to Kiwanis to Shriners to Masons, I've done it all. The style of this club most fits a younger generation because of the 12 o'clock hour. When you said that, it's surprising. But for me, it works better because I've had to do meetings every night of the week, doing all the other stuff. But talking about keeping it fresh for our generation, nothing against Steve. But one of the reasons I left the Shriner because I got sick and tired of Bay Breeze every freaking week. And that's something that you have to think about. We may owe it to Steve, but if you want it fresh, you're going to have to really change more than just who your leadership is. I'm trying to give you cold hard facts.
For this, this time works well for a lot of people. It may not work. There may be others that don't join because of the time. So I think we need to look at, what we're doing with the social hours and things like that to give other, or maybe breakfast, once a month or whatever, to give folks that can't make this a chance to join too. So that's what I'm saying.
Carolyn had her hand up real quick. Do you have something, Carolyn?
As somebody that's not a part of the Rotary as of yet, and
I like that.
Just hearing about this has motivated me to want to do something. As you've already said, we have to keep, stay relevant, and I thought about the time for lunch and stuff. Maybe we could have a webinar so where those folks can't get here can actually see what we're doing away from here.
Well, we do it through YouTube too.
Yeah.
So we stay connected, and Terry has made a huge.
I'm interested. I'll help. Because I have somebody mentoring me. There's a lot of wealth and knowledge in this room, and I want to peep into everybody's brain. Okay?
Amen, sister. Amen.
That's where it's at.
And that's why.
And I'm young.
Yeah.
I have the energy.
Get out.
I have no young kids.
Yeah, raise your right hand. Raise your right hand, kid.
He's gonna swear you in right now. Don't do it. Yvonne had her, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Howard.
I gotta leave here in a minute, but I was gonna just throw this out as a question or a challenge, however you wanted to take it. I hear lots of bits and pieces, a lot of ideas. For years, meetings I've run, I'd usually hear some grumbling. I say, okay, let's hear all the problems. And I'd make the statement, it doesn't take a lot of genius to point out problems. Almost anybody can do it.
Yeah.
It does take some genius to point out solutions.
Yeah.
And what I'm listening to are a lot of good pieces and fragments. What I would do is throw a challenge out to the board to come up with a cohesive strategy of some of the best ideas, or maybe have another meeting like this. Because I liked hearing all four of the speakers, but I'd like to hear some other ideas from
One of the things I think that we got out of this, and we'll talk about it as a board, but at the end, these are the goals that I'm getting out of everybody's contribution here. A number of new members. We need to make sure, we're at 46 right now. We need to make sure that by the time we reach that March level, we're at 49 anyway, maybe more. But 49 should stick in our heads that that's where we need to be. We need to review the roster by December because we have 3 or 4 folks that just haven't been participating. And to be a Rotarian, you got to participate. So we have to, that's got to be one of our goals. We need to keep continuing to look at who's active and who's not. Yeah, we need to have a retention chair who follows up on people that aren't here. I think we need to have RLI as a absolute, when new members join, we're ready to pay that $95 and send them to RLI. I think anytime we have a new member join, that sponsor has to be a mentor for at least a year. I see 5 key things out of this that I think the board can get back, offer back to the club and add to it or modify it. But as Howard says, you gotta have a path, and that path starts with what's your vision, what are the things that you want to do?
Well, I think Howard succinctly said it, with the board needs to have a plan and it needs to be shared by the membership.
Yeah, and I think it needed to have this feedback in order to make that next step through the board. But then the other thing is, and I don't know whether this becomes a goal or not, but that pool of 10 to 11 folks that we have, that we've brought in, like the Patricks, like the Jeremys, like the Bills, has now really got to be our focus on leadership for the next years to come. It really has to be.
Quick question.
Yeah.
I know that Jeremy is our membership chair. Who's on the committee? Who's on the membership committee?
I'm listed as the chair and
Okay, really that was a trick question. Because everybody in here should have raised their hand.
Oh, yeah.
Because we are a membership organization and we all need to work together to help Jeremy. Jeremy is the one that we can go to as our leader, but it should be everybody in here is on the membership committee. And always consider yourself when you're talking to anybody that you're on the membership committee of the Jonesboro Rotary Club, and you need to show everybody out in the community what a great organization we are. And we're so great that like they're going to be like begging you for that application.
Well, Larry, thank you. And Jeremy, thank you for your input and all the contributors for today. As you can tell, we can talk about this for a good long time. I concur with Jim that the board, we should take the responsibility to bring recommendations to the club. That's very appropriate, Howard, that you had mentioned that. So thanks for the suggestion. Chad Spivey, we have a raffle.
All right, we have $59 today in the pot. That's gonna be 32 to the club, 29 to the winner. Already mixed this up. Here, I'll let you, since you're not doing anything.
8578.
8578. Wow. That's what I'm thinking. Was it Bud? Or Robert?
You're not here, you don't win, draw another one.
I don't know who they are, but I got them in my hand, but I guess it's Terry.
That was it Terry?
Yeah.
All right, Carolyn, thank you for coming and seeing us. Thank you for your willingness to join our club. You came at a unique time. We don't always do these as programs, but thank you. We look forward to hearing more about I Am My Sister's Keeper. And Terry's going to do the four-way test, lead in the pledge, and stay after if you can to do the brief video. Terry.
Are you ready? Four-way test. Is it true?
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.